Okay. Bring it back, Big Day. Bring it back. Turn it up. Welcome back to the hashtag Brothers of Baseball show right here on the BGC Sports Network. It's your big homies checking in. There's Mike. This is Willie. Anna, you still have a spot, sweetheart. Don't even worry about it. You are going to be good to go as soon as you are ready. All right.
Anna, we miss you.
Yes, that's right. And just in case you guys missed it in the first segment, well, we caught up a little bit. So we got outside of baseball for about half a segment. Then we started talking about the WBC. And we're going to pick up there here in just a quick second. Before we move any further, this second segment, it is being brought to you by us. Who is us? We is us. Who is we? Well, we is the Big Game Christian Sports Network. And guess what? It is that time of year. What time am I talking about? NFL draft. It's the overhyped, unofficial, and slightly censored NFL draft. Mark your calendars for Thursday, April 23rd at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time for the overhyped, unofficial, and slightly censored NFL draft talk live from the Chef's Corner, formerly known as the Turkey Den in Fort Worth, Texas, located at 1201 Oakland Boulevard, Suite 1111 in Funktown. Join us for an active and awesome atmosphere as we discuss, debate, and agree to disagree on who's going where in the 2026 NFL Draft. Plus, come and check out the awesome menu of Chef's Corner and get a heaping helping of Southern comfort. And I keep saying this because it is not the whiskey, it is the food. It's not like you got somewhere else to be. You know what you need to do. So spread the word, invite the family, and tell your coworkers when you get off work. Meet me at the Chef's Corner in Fort Worth for the overhyped, unofficial, and slightly censored NFL Draft Talk 2026 Thursday, April 23rd, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We will see you there. And I have been notified by the network that I will be hosting the actual event as opposed to being an analyst or a contributor or just a gas bag. So I'm a little nervous about that, but I think it'll be all right, Mike. What do you think?
It always is. Just B-I-G, believe in God.
That's right, man. B-I-G, do it big, and that is what we are doing. All right. So we're going to get back to the World Baseball Classic, and we were talking about the Italians and how they put it on the Americans, and the Americans actually need a lot of help in order to be able to move on to the next round, Mike. And I saw it. They have to have Mexico to score at least 5 runs because run differential is the tie-breaking situation in the World Baseball Classic. So even though the Americans are 3-1 going into this particular taping, they are still in trouble, in a lot of trouble. And the game against Italy ended a lot like, it was exactly how it ended against Japan in the last World Baseball Classic when Shohei Ohtani struck out Mike Trout and Aaron Judge comes to the plate and he strikes out against the Italians with an opportunity to at least tie the game. So, Mike, let me ask you, man, are we in trouble? When I say we, I mean, of course, the Americans. Are we in trouble?
I don't want to say we're in trouble. Maybe they're, this isn't the 92 Olympic team that, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird and company, by no means, it's apples to oranges, but I don't know. I know Kyle Schwarber's been kind of like doing his thing. He's in mid-season form. Like he looked pretty good in a couple preseason games before him and Bryce Harper took off to Houston. But honestly, I don't think Bryce. I don't know. I think Bryce Harper. I mean, there are a lot of coming into spring training, the riff with him and Dombrowski calling him a non-elite player, and then him going on TikTok with the non-elite shirt and T-shirt, and just that rip between them. And he was hitting the ball before he got to Houston. I know he's doing all right, but I don't know. I just think Bryce Harper, and I hate to say it, is getting older. I mean, 33, 34, injuries are creeping up in the last couple years he's wanted a contract extension. Like, you're a great player, but you haven't delivered the hardware. I mean, this is like your 7th year, and you're already 7 years into a 13-year contract.
Yeah, and I believe that he may know that himself because he is pushing for that extension at this point. At this point in his career, but why? You haven't.
I know exactly.
What are you at this point? You can't even say that you're resting on your laurels in terms of what have you done for me lately, because you've been off injured the past several years, and there have been. I remember saying this last season before whatever happened in my family began to happen. And I remember talking about this at one point, that I was beginning to get worried about Bryce Harper because he was coming up in key situations in very important games, and he just wasn't getting it done, Mike.
None whatsoever. And, Kyle Schwarber, carrying the load and, 56 home runs, a runner-up to Shohei Ohtani last year for the MVP. And, don't ask me, and I'm not, no disrespect against Rob Thompson, but this team is declined in 4 years. World Series 22, got knocked out by Arizona in the National League NLCS. You lose against the Mets in the wild card round, and then you lose to the Dodgers. And it's like no, how you bring this back is like, I just don't get it. But
yeah, and it is definitely some concerning times. And it's funny that we went there because I was going to ask you about Philly and your feels for that matter. But one more thing before we get actually more in depth into the Philadelphia Phillies. I want to ask you a very important question, because everybody around the world knows that baseball is considered to be America's pastime. And because what we have seen with Japan and the DR and Cuba and Puerto Rico, and Mexico and Venezuela and other countries around the world that have a lot of great Major League Baseball talent and players on the home countries, how do you think it shakes out in terms with America's pastime being no longer America's pastime? Meaning that the world is catching up. The world has caught up.
Well, I was going to say, really, you look at all these countries, I think a lot of these countries have passed America with baseball. I mean, you look at Asia, you look at South America, like a couple other countries, but, it's like Shohei Ohtani is like the modern day Babe Ruth. And, you look at, I forget the pitcher on the Dodgers. Actually, I know the Phillies made a run at him, but he was lights out in the World Series and going on 2-3 days rest. And, you look at the Dominican Republic and just like powerhouses. And I don't think America has the powerhouses that, Japan or the Dominican Republic have. I mean, we have some good players, but I just think between, like I said, South America, Japan, and, a couple of these other countries, they pass the United States as far as talent wise.
And let's take a look at a roster or two here. I'm looking at the Dominican Republic's roster. They have, of course, Sandy Alcantara as one of their pitchers. He's a Cy Young Award winner. Luis Severino, he's the ace of the A's right now, and once was the ace of the Yankees. They have Austin Wells. They have Junior Caminero from the Marlins. Manny Machado, who we're going to get to in just a second, because what that dude did the other day is ridiculous. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Carlos Santana, Ketel Marte, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, and then Albert Pujols just happens to be their manager. That's the DR. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, it's like they've got an all-star roster on their country's team. And I'm not knocking it. I think it's actually fabulous because
right.
we need that in America in order to be able to increase our standing around the world in the sport. What are your thoughts about that?
No doubt. I mean, it's an all-star team in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you take away the Judges, the Harpers, a couple of these other guys. I mean, and make a baseball team of that up on a major league roster. I mean, that's basically a World Series champion, without a doubt.
And they've got
at least on paper it is.
And they have World Series championship players on those rosters as well.
Exactly.
Right. And then when you look at Japan, they of course obviously have the unicorn himself in Shohei Ohtani. They've got Seiya Suzuki. They've got Masahara. I can't think of his last name. Just I had it on my tip of my tongue just that quick. But never fear, because the computer is here and we can always go right there to it. Of course, that would be Masataka Yoshida, is what I'm trying to say. And those guys, I mean, they may not be as good as the team that won the tournament the last time, but they've got the best player in the universe in Shohei Ohtani. All right. Enough of the baseball classic stuff, man. Let's talk about your Phillies a little bit more. I think I saw not that long ago where they signed to an extension. Who was it?
The other day.
Yeah, who was it again? It wasn't
Jesus
Luzardo.
Yeah, which I thought was a nice move because I think he only had a year left. I know he went to arbitration. He got a couple million out of it. He won. But I thought it was a great acquisition, great signing because you knew they weren't going to re-up Ranger Suarez, who went to Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, really, Chris Sanchez, right now we don't know what's going on with Zach Wheeler. I mean, they're saying maybe May, but, he's coming off that not that heart thing. It was
some blood clots.
Yeah. And I think he only has another year or two left on his contract. And I mean, thank God they did find out when they did, because I was at a couple Phillies games last year. He just didn't. Something was off with him, and not knowing what it was. But I mean, the guy's been throwing gas for, that was a great pickup by the Phillies back in 2020. The guy's just been lights out, and the guy's a horse. But when you're a power pitcher like that, and you're throwing gas 98, whatever, and usually you would. Like Roy Halladay, Pedro Martinez, guys like that, their shoulders start giving out. But, I don't know how much longer he's going to keep going like this. But, that hopefully he can, maybe he'll play another year with the Phillies and stay at this form. But Chris Sanchez stepped in. He was runner-up Cy Young last year. Luzardo number 2. Nola's the big question mark. I mean, Taiwan right now, it's like Taiwan Walker 4, and then, the big prospect in the Phillies organization has been Andrew Painter, and he's looked good in spring training, but I think they're just, I think he only threw 20 pitches, not the last outing, but the one before. But, I think they rushed him along at 19. He had a setback. He had Tommy John surgery. But hopefully this is the year, and, finally we get to see Carl Crawford's son, Justin, coming up, and, he's been killing. He's been tearing the cover off the ball in spring training. So, hopefully, he'll bring his bat, and, the Phillies picked up Garcia from Texas, pretty good move. We got, the whole Nick Castellanos thing is not our headache anymore. I mean, I kind of blame both sides.
I was going to ask you about Castellanos, because I think he has been a very good player throughout his career, and of course he has moved on to greener pastures. Where did he end up in? Was it Chicago?
San Diego.
San Diego, yeah. So how much of an impact do you think his bat and even his defense is going to be missed in Philly?
I mean, I'll give credit. I was a Nick Castellanos fan before he came to Philly, and I don't know. The rumor was that the one game he got benched by Rob Thompson, he brought a beer out, in the dugout, and apparently they covered it up and took the beer off him right away, or that would have been a trailblazing story in this city for probably the remainder of the season. And he's from Miami. He was there visiting his family. I mean, plus his son Liam's like always around, and I'm like, damn, dude, you're not setting the best example of bringing an alcohol beverage after being benched. And you know what? I blame both sides. Like, the only thing that used to tick me off was Castellanos would always swing in that pitch on the outside on the left-hand corner. He basically blew Rob Thompson off. He blew Kevin Long off, who's supposed to be one of the best hitting coaches in baseball. And I just don't think he ever took his advice. But I think the Phillies did him wrong. I mean, why did you release the guy towards the beginning of spring training? They told him not to show up, like, instead of causing this whole firestorm. They let him go. He went to San Diego, clean shaven, haircut, and he saw his interview like that first Sunday, and I think he took a couple jabs at the Phils, but I hated to see him go. But I just kind of wonder if he was kind of like a cancer in that locker room, like every year, because this team just couldn't seem to get it done. Like, and
I think Mike, he was another one of those guys that there were a lot of times where he had an opportunity to maybe put the Phillies in front or tie the game, and he came up short sometimes. I know when he first got there from who was it where did he come from before he got to
Cincinnati, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Cincinnati, but wherever it was, when he first got there, I know he struggled a lot, and those fans in Philly don't really have a whole lot of patience for big name players and big paid players that come in and struggle. But hats off to him, because at some point it feels like he was able to adjust.
Oh.
and somewhat became less cancerous in the locker room that you may be alluding to.
I got a story for you. Maybe it was just bad luck on his part, because he bought Ben Simmons' house when he moved to Philly.
Oh my gosh, that did.
So I don't know if that was was a bad omen, but maybe there was a bad spirit in there that Ben Simmons had, and who the hell knows? But I take my hat off.
Mike, hold that thought. We're coming up against the break, so we're gonna come back on the other side of the break. Mike, Willie, #BrothersBaseball Show. Y'all come back and holler at us.